Okay, can.
Okay, so do I just start?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Hannah, I'm from House 3, and okay, I stay in Pioneer House this year.
Mm.
I'm like the youngest of my family, so I have two older sisters that I'm quite close to. In my free time, I like to like bake healthier stuff and read self-help books.
Okay.
Yeah, and after A-levels, I actually volunteered for about 6 months at the Active Aging Center.
Oh.
Yeah, so I helped out with like the administrative processes, like keying in the elderly's details, or like I interacted with the elderly. So they like to play Ramio lah, so I always like to join in. Yeah,
okay.
and they actually taught me how to play Ramio.
Nice. Can. Thanks for sharing. Okay, maybe you can tell me a bit more about like your commitments in school and outside of school.
Okay, so for my current commitments, I'm actually in the Catholic Student Society. So it's, we have like weekly cell groups and campus mass. And then other than that, I'm thinking of joining road relay in Pioneer House.
Okay.
So it's just like every week, but it's like ad hoc based on when you can commit.
Okay.
Yeah, so for now, those are my commitments.
Okay. Can. So are you still currently volunteering at the senior activity center?
No, I stopped in June.
Okay. Can. Okay, maybe I want to ask you, why did you decide to join I Remember?
Okay, because I think firstly I wanted to join a geriatric project in NUS Medicine because I'm quite interested in working with the elderly, which was something that I realized over the years also. So at the end of secondary 4, I actually volunteered at the Econ Life Senior Activity Center. So I spent about like 3 weeks there, and I also got to join in things like Zumba with the elderly, which I feel it was quite inspiring now because you can really see the enthusiasm in trying to keep active. And I also helped out with, for example, creating conversational English materials for the elderly, because I saw how the manager identified a need, which was to teach them elderly so that they could converse with their grandchildren. And then after A-levels, I volunteered at Failure Active Aging Center. Yeah, then I did door-to-door knocking, so we had to try to reach out to the elderly to let them know that there's a center actually in their block and that they can come down to do activities there. And I'll also pack birthday packs for them and distribute to them monthly. Yeah, and I'll also just do some ad hoc activities like Ramio, which I mentioned earlier. Yeah. Okay. So that was how I grew interest in working with elderly, because I feel that I really have a natural connection with them, and I just really love listening to their life experiences, and I find them really endearing. And as for why I remember in particular, I think I was drawn to the idea that they focus on mental health and depression and dementia, which was something that I personally feel I'm not too familiar with, because I work a lot with active seniors like in active aging centers, and their cognitive skills are actually quite high. So I feel that actually I've not really encountered a lot of elderly with dementia. That's something that I want to learn more about. Yeah, and I guess a special part of this project is that my own grandmother has depression. So not only do I want to learn more about depression, but also reach out to other elderly with it.
Okay, thanks so much for sharing. Okay, maybe next question would be, what is your understanding of what our project does?
Okay, so I think my understanding is that for this upcoming year, there will be 4 main initiatives, which is the door-to-door publicity to let them know more about this, and also the exhibition. And so there's also be an exhibition to educate the public about dementia, geriatric depression, and also about caregivers. And then there will also be the screening where we get to do, like we check their cognitive aspects and also identify elderly who are at risk or those who already have dementia. And the last one is Healthy Mind, so it's going to be like active aging program where we get to follow up with the elderly whom we identified from the screening. Yeah, and there will also be referral where we get to refer suitable elderly to community care organizations so that they can get the help they need.
Yeah, okay, I think you got it there. Yeah, so maybe what do you think we can improve on our current initiatives? Like, do you have any like suggestions or improvements that can be made? It's okay, you can take your time to think.
Yeah, also like not too sure how it's actually being carried out. So I guess there could also be some education on how caregivers can better care for those with dementia, also how to prevent burnout, so that the elderly are also well supported, and not just referring them to the organizations, but also at home by the people that they're cared for. Yeah, and I guess drawing inspiration from this other geriatric project, because I was also reading about which one to join. I also read about the Active Aging Associates, which they mentioned that they focus on behavioral change. So I think we could incorporate that into our active aging, the Healthy Minds program to actually focus on behavioral change and how they can use these habits to continue to keep active. So not just this 8-week program, but to ensure sustainability beyond it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Are there like any like potential problems that you foresee with like our screening specifically?
Actually, I recently went for the public health survey screening also, so I did have some like experience with it. I think for screening, especially the elderly, perhaps they might be impatient if let's say the waiting time is too long, or they might be a bit confused about which station to go to also. So we have to make sure that everything flows well and that we train the volunteers well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's say it's a scenario lah. So let's say you're doing project work, right? And like your groupmate doesn't pull his or her weight during the project. So how will you go about it dealing with this situation?
I think firstly I wouldn't jump to conclusions. So I'll try to find out why he or she is not pulling the weight. Maybe he's facing some problem. Then I'll see how I can help the person out. Yeah, but if after multiple reminders or he's not really contributing and it's not for a valid reason, then I guess I'll try to approach like the PDs or the head of my com to see how I can sort it out. Cause I think that the com is quite small and it's important to reduce conflict. So I think that we should talk it out among the committee first. Yeah.
Okay, can. Could you share with us like one of your greatest strengths and one of your greatest weaknesses?
I think one of my greatest strengths is that I'm quite a reflective person. So I like to reflect a lot about problems and how they can be solved. And yeah, so for example, like in secondary school, when I was serving in the EXCO, I just tried to think of new initiatives. Like I realized that when we were stepping up, it was quite messy for us. So I tried to streamline that process for our juniors. So I worked together with my team to create this report for our juniors to read all about our strengths and areas of improvement. Yeah, so I think I'm constantly thinking of ways to improve, like not just in like projects or in my daily life, but also in my studies. So I try to, if I have anything that I don't understand, I always try to ask the teacher. And I think this skill is quite good in this project also because it can help us to see where we can improve and think of new ways to improve the project. And one of my weaknesses, I guess, is I can be quite flustered when things don't go exactly to plan because while I'm quite an organized person, sometimes it can be quite disheartening when things go wrong. So I try to like calm myself down and just tell myself to think of new ways to adapt to it.
Okay. Okay, maybe could you share with us how you intend to grow as a person through Project I Remember?
I guess I want to also grow in humility through this project because I feel that as medical students, I really want to do a lot, but we also have to realize our limitations and as much as we try to help the elderly, there are just certain things that perhaps are out of our control, and that's where maybe we can escalate to organizations that can better provide help to them. And also, I guess, to grow in the communication skills with these elderly because especially for elderly with dementia, they may not be able to communicate as well with you. So I think I really hope to grow in communication skills and also patience in conversing with them. And I also hope to work not just with the elderly, but to also see how I can work with the organizations and the caregivers to better care for the elderly.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Okay, so that was my last question for me. Yeah, so now we'll be moving on to more of the com-specific questions. Yeah, so from my understanding, you indicated follow-up as your first choice and manpower as your second choice, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so now Shweta will be asking you about like follow-up specific questions.
Hello. So, firstly, why do you want to join follow-up?
Okay, I think I want to join follow-up in particular because I'm interested in being directly involved in really seeing the elderly through the whole process and making sure that they're connected back to the organizations that can support them. And I really hope to be more involved in the sustainability of the project because I really value long-term connections with the elderly, and I think it's very assuring to me to know that they are supported not just after the screening, but they know they are able to participate in cognitive activities and they know how to take care of themselves. Yeah, because actually actually after I stopped volunteering with Faye, the manager still texts me to let me know how the elderly are doing and I think it's just very nice to know that they're still doing well. So I really want to be involved in planning the follow-up initiatives like Healthy Minds and to come up with new ideas for the activities. And Healthy Minds is also something that's special to me because I've volunteered at active aging centers in the past, so that's something that is back to my roots now.
Okay, thank you. So I think previously you mentioned about sustainability, the idea of sustainability, right? So could you explain why sustainability is important to you?
I think it's because I just really want to see the tangible impact from the screening and to know that our project is not just a one-off thing, but they are able to be connected back to organizations who can help them even beyond this project. Yeah, so I really hope to see our efforts being translated into something bigger.
Okay. So how do you see yourself being a part of follow-up?
I think as a member of follow-up com, I think I can definitely contribute my administrative skills in liaising with the organizations and also coming up with new initiatives to spearhead new ideas for the committee. So I guess I see myself as someone who's always thinking about what else can be done and thinking of new activities for Healthy Minds. And just having the clear logical process in dealing with all the data of the elderly and making sure that they are well referred to the organizations.
Okay. So as a follow-up question, you mentioned that you like to plan Healthy Minds and come up with ideas. So do you have any ideas on what activities you can carry out with the elderly during Healthy Minds?
I think firstly we could try to do some folding of origami that it could be starting with different levels of difficulty. And as I was doing research from my own active aging center fair that I was volunteering with, I also found I found this thing called silver activities. So they have like a different activity sheets like Sudoku and word search, and they have word search in Chinese also and Malay and other languages. So I thought that was quite good, and I feel we can leverage on these resources. Yeah, and I also found this card game called like Hua He. So yeah, I think it's like a memory matching game. So I think it was specifically designed for elderly dementia. So if the organization allows us, I think because it's not free, perhaps we can try to use it also.
Okay. What do you think are some reasons why the elderly don't seek health advice from doctors, and how do you think you can motivate them?
I think the elderly might not seek health advice from doctors because firstly they may not even recognize that there's something wrong and that they need to seek help. So they may not want to go in the first place, or they may be scared of finding out the results and what it entails, like what lifestyle changes they may have to make. Or they may just lack awareness about how to go about seeing the doctors and like what screenings are available for them.
Okay. Okay, so when we refer the elderly to like the senior activity centers or polyclinics or our own Healthy Minds program, not all the elderly will be open to giving consent to our referrals. So in what ways would you encourage the elderly to accept our referral services? And even if they've accepted our referral to Healthy Minds, how do we encourage them to continue attending aid sessions, because it's quite a long commitment for them as well?
I think we would probably have to think of the reasons why they wouldn't want to be referred to Healthy Minds. So it could be that they don't understand our program, so we could explain to them what we'll be doing and how we think that these activities will be beneficial to them, especially if they may be at risk of developing dementia. So I think it's important to explain to them that these activities can slow down cognitive decline. And also if they think that 8 weeks is too long for them, we will have come up with a proposal by then, so we can share with them what activities we'll be doing. So hopefully those activities pique their interest and they'll be willing to go. And I think since Healthy Minds will be in collaboration with community organisation, we can also work closely with them since the elderly will have built quite good rapport with like the staff of the centre. So we can also try to ask the staff to encourage them to go. And to make sure that they are well supported during each of the session, and if they're facing any difficulties to help them out with it.
Okay, thank you. Lastly, I have a scenario question. So let's say you're paired with Uncle Tan for 8 weeks of Healthy Minds and you've formed a good relationship with him. But the program has now come to an end, and now Uncle Tan, who used to look forward to the sessions with you and replies your text actively, no longer replies your text now. So this really raises the question of sustainability, right? And how much benefit the program can give the elderly given that it's only conducted for 8 weeks. And so given this issue, do you have any ideas on how we can make the program more sustainable?
I think the one thing is to really work closely with the organisation, since we ourselves are just medical students and we might not always have the bandwidth and capacity to keep checking out on this elderly, and since that they are already referred to the community organisation, is to make sure that we clearly flag out this elderly for them to follow up with, and if there's anything wrong, they're not replying, the elderly that we are attached to is not replying on messages, then we immediately escalate to the centre so that they can do something about it. Yeah, I think this is something that's quite common also, because when I was volunteering in the Failure Active Aging Centre, sometimes the elderly that we see coming down every day, they're suddenly not there, so that the manager or the staff will actually go out personally to check on them and to see what happened. Yeah.
Okay. Did I say last question? Okay, sorry, last question. So like we have our Healthy Minds program, right? So currently we're thinking of conducting house visits also. But the problem is that we have manpower issues. We want to conduct both house visits and Healthy Minds at the same time. So in that case, how would you evaluate these two options for follow-up, and what would be your preferred option?
What would the home visits entail actually?
So house visits is like we will go down individually to the elderly's homes and we'll check in on them. So it will essentially be Healthy Minds, but then the in-person and in-house visit. Yeah, will be individual, so we can only do one elderly at a time.
Oh, so we're thinking of doing both home visits and the Healthy Minds in the so the home visits at home, then the Healthy Minds is in the centre.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I think we only can do one, so which one will you choose?
Yeah, so you have to choose between house visits and Healthy Minds. Currently, Healthy Minds is we're planning to do it at like the CC, so we'll be bringing the elderly to the CC and then we'll be conducting activities with them. But the other alternative is where we go down to their houses and then we can conduct activities, like personalized activities with the elderly in their own houses. Yeah. So you can think of like the differences in manpower, logistics, or the feasibility of the program, like in the long term. Yeah.
I
You
think
take your time, yeah.
Good. I think like going down to the home will definitely require like a lot more volunteers, and it has to be like a lot more personalized. So the volunteers will have to be attached to the elderly personally, I think, so that they can follow up with the elderly. And I think for healthy, I might go with Healthy Minds at the CC actually, because I think as far as possible, like we should try to group the elderly who have similar needs together so that we can do the same kind of activities with them at the same time. Then perhaps for the elderly who are less mobile, like they really can't come down to the centre, then we can flag out these elderly and we perhaps pair up volunteers to journey with them more. Because I think as far as possible, if the elderly can come down, it will be beneficial for them also, so they can meet other people and like socialize with them.
Okay, thank you so much for the answers. I'll pass my time over to me. And
Hello. Okay, so my first question for you is, what's your understanding of what Manpower does?
I think Manpower, they really work a lot with volunteers, so they need to recruit and also train volunteers to make sure that they're well prepared for the events, and there's a lot of administrative work as well in terms of collating the volunteers' availabilities and when they're able to come down for training. And there's also welfare volunteers and supporting them.
So with that, why do you want to join Manpower?
I think for me, from my understanding, because Manpower entails a lot of working with people on the ground and the volunteers who will be carrying out your project. So that's something that I think I can contribute well in also, because I feel I really like to impart skills and knowledge to people and to train them up. Yeah, and there's also a leadership role because you have to be able to facilitate volunteer trainings, and that's something that I like to do because in JC I was like an initiation group leader, so I helped to guide this group of juniors and ease them into the JC environment. And in my CCA in secondary school, which was Red Cross Youth, I also at secondary 3 I had to take up this role of teaching them first aid skills and give them clear instructions on how to volunteer at first aid events. So I think that if joining the manpower com, I can actually contribute my skills of clear communication and making sure that they get good instructions, and also administrative skills in terms of handling all the volunteer data and allocating them to their respective roles and slots.
Yeah, like what you mentioned, also provide welfare and support to our volunteers. So what do you have in mind in terms of what we can provide?
I think for volunteers, we can provide them with welfare packs, perhaps like just before the events, and to also check in with them after every session, especially for example, the Healthy Minds, which is a 8-week session. So we can check in on them after every session, perhaps to get some reflections, or if they face anything that was troubling them, we can also get them to share, and just to make sure that they're well taken care of throughout the whole program, especially since they might have some emotional or difficult moments working with the elderly there.
Okay. Could you tell me a quality of yourself and why that matters to manpower?
Manpower specifically. I think like a quality of myself is that I'm quite meticulous, so I really like to follow up with like the administrative things and also with the volunteers, and to just check in with them to make sure that they know their roles well. And I think I'm also quite good in attention to detail, so I can spot perhaps certain things that we missed out that we should actually share with the volunteers to make sure that the volunteer training is as smooth and comprehensive as possible, so that they're given as much information so that they can carry out their roles well.
Okay. Which do you think is better, giving perfect work and delivering late, or giving low quality work and delivering on time?
I would say giving perfect work and delivering it late, but it also depends like how late it is and whether that will really affect like the outcome that you're going for. Yeah, but I feel like it depends, because I guess if you don't have to give perfect work like on time, but at least make sure that it's good enough quality such that it won't affect the outcome in the end.
Okay. My last question is just a scenario question. So you have recruited sufficient volunteers for an upcoming event, but then the day before the event, a bunch of volunteers decide to pull out. So what would be your next step?
I think I will just definitely try to follow up with them like why they're pulling out, and if possible really ask them to come, since their help will be much needed during the event. But if they really can't come, then I'll have to quickly make arrangements with the rest of the committee members, or ask if, for example, if it's going to be a shift thing, perhaps ask if the volunteer can take on extra shifts, and just see where I can shift the volunteers around. So if there's certain stations or parts of the program that doesn't need so many volunteers, perhaps I can move them to another one and just quickly brief them on what they need to do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now we'll be moving on to our role playing portion. Okay, so you want to? Okay, so Kaiwen, he'll be acting as an elderly. Yeah, then you'll be acting as a volunteer. Okay, so the scenario we'll be doing is this elderly, he's reluctant to participate and seems disengaged in a bingo game, like at the SAC. So just need to converse and communicate with him. Yeah.
Oh, from here.
Yeah. Yeah. So like it's like role playing, oh. Yeah. So you will play as a volunteer, he will play as the elderly.
Okay.
And also you can speak Chinese, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, can. So you'll be just conversing in Chinese.
Okay.
Can. Okay.
Hi uncle.
Hello，我们今天要做什么啊？
我们今天要玩 bingo， 你知道 bingo 是什么吗？
什么是 bingo？
bingo 就是我们会给你一张纸，然后我们会叫一些号码，然后如果你的一张纸有那个号码，你就可以放一个你可以放一个锅，所以你的
所以怎样赢？怎样赢？
你的目的是你要有一条线。
什么是一条线？
一条线就是你有一张纸了，我可以给你一个例子。
不 不用了，不用了。你继续跟我解释怎样玩。
哦，所以你还有哪些地方你还不明白？我可以。
哦，我赢的时候有奖励吗？还是玩耍而已？
我们可能会给你一些奖励啊。
哦，这奖励好是什么奖励啊？这是钱啊。
我们不能给钱啊。
没有钱我不要玩了啦。
可是我们有别的奖励，比如说你可以赢一些食物，可以赢一些饼干。
饼干啊。哎呀，这个游戏我玩很多次了啦，没有空玩了，我不要玩了。
你以前有玩过很多次苹果啊？
我玩很多次冰果。
那你是不是觉得不好玩？
对不是很好玩。
你可以跟我分享，你可以跟我分享为什么呢？
冰果玩很多次哦，玩很多次就很闷哦。
你是不是要赢一些奖励？
对，都要赢钱的。
很抱歉哦，因为我们的规律就是我们不能给钱。那如果你不玩冰果，你要玩别的游戏吗
？I think okay. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you.
Okay. So thanks so much. So we'll be moving on to our closing segment already. Okay. So just a few questions for you. If you are able to join the top 2 committees which you have indicated preference for, will you still be willing to join another committee instead? If yes, which one and why?
I think if I can't join the first 2 committees, then I will go for my third choice, which is the operations and logistics, because I think since I'm quite good with administrative skills, I'm still able to contribute quite well to it, so I'll be able to sort out the logistics and liaise with the organizations. So I think that my good organizational skills can still be leveraged in ops and lots.
Okay. Do you have like any parts experience also?
Actually, I'm not too good at designing, so that's why I didn't really choose parts.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so for the projects that you'll be applying for, are you applying for any other like OSIPs or LSIPs?
No.
No, okay, only project I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our first general meeting on the 29th of August. It should be next Monday from 7 to 10. Will you be able to make it?
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
Okay. Can.
But it's only if you're selected.
Yeah lah. If only yours.
Okay.
Can. Okay, then lastly for like the laws, you act out your spirit animal. Like your favorite animal. It's just for fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spirit animal.
Okay, we're doing a short video, yeah. Okay, like we're not supposed to know what the animal is, so you just act it out. Then we'll guess.
Okay. Now.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Meh.
It's a sheep,
It's a goat lah.
Okay.
Wait. Do goats also make that sound? Yeah, I think.
I think they do.
I think they move.
Wait, do sheep have horns? But goats have horns. What's the difference between a sheep and a
only
goat?
has ears, and doesn't have horns.
Is there a difference between a sheep and a goat?
I don't know.
You don't know?
This is not part of your
Also
interview.
don't know.
This one's like them, right?
Oh.
Wait, you don't use like the red.
Okay, do you have any other questions for us?
I think like what were your motivations for joining iRemember, and like I guess any challenges that you faced?
Okay, I think like similar to you, I've like had experience in dealing with elderly before. I think I shared with you during the engagement also, like about how my grandma herself has dementia, and how I was like interested in joining a project which aligned with like which aligned with my like personal story also, and also like I could see how like taking care of a dementia patient, which is like my mom, she's a caregiver, my uncle is also a caregiver. I can see how it's taken a toll on them also. Yeah, so like dementia is a disease which not only affects the individual but affects like basically everyone.